that we just did. We can welcome to board meeting. We are so glad that you came. In accordance with governing board policy BDDH, we will have an invocation, and it will be offered by Pastor David Land from the New Life Assembly of God. Please stand, and then after the invocation, stay standing.
Heavenly Father, it is a privilege to stand in your name tonight before this board, school, employees, parents, friends, and just call upon your name. And I ask you, Lord, to just bless all of the proceedings in this meeting tonight. May your will be done, not necessarily ours, but your will. We pray your blessings upon the school board, upon the educational staff of the city of Mesa, every teacher, every principal, every superintendent. Lord, in a culture where we're more concerned about political correctness and where there is so much division on many campuses across our nation, I pray that the city of Mesa would remain in unity and that they would be reminded of the educational core values and that we would teach our students well. So we ask you all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Land. I call this meeting to order. And tonight we have a group of scouts. Did you guys notice them? I have some scouts at my house, so I know it's hard to find all that many clean scout shirts. Good job, you guys. Our Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by Ben Stratford of Troop 552. He's an 8th grader at Stapley Junior High and a Star Scout. So come on up, Ben, and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, after which we'll have the national anthem play for you on the screen so you can remain standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You may be seated. We are glad you're here, and tonight's a little different for us. We have a public hearing that we are going to go into that session right now. If you wanted to speak about this public hearing, you would need to get a request to comment card and have that given to Alice Swinehart in the front if you were going to if you came here to speak on that. But I will need a motion to move into the public hearing.
I move we move into the public hearing.
All right. Dr. Cowan, do we turn the time over to Scott Thompson, Mr. Thompson, or Danny?
Dan O'Brien, our Chief Financial Officer, will be giving a brief presentation which will then provide time for individuals to speak.
Thank you. Sorry,
I'll put it back, I promise. Good evening, Madam President, Governing Board, Dr. Cowan. This evening, we will be asking you to approve the fiscal year 18 budget revision number 1. In prior years, if you remember, this usually wouldn't be done until December 15th is the state statute. But with the legislative passing and funding of the governor's initiative to give 1.06 raise to teachers, to certified teachers, the law stated that we have to revise the budget by November 1st, so the state could then fund it for us so that we could have it in December. So the budget revision tonight is nothing but putting the information that fiscal services and HR worked with to put the dollar amounts on the budget and to put the FTE on the budget to then allow the state to fund us, so then we can then fund the stipends for those teachers. So it's really only a change to page 2 and page 7 of the budget. And it is just when we adopted and proposed our budget back in June and July, we gave estimates. HR and fiscal services have worked throughout the early part of the school year to get all those amounts right, because remember, we had to get, if certified teachers came from other districts, we had to get the information from other districts. Now we have that information, and now we're just proposing it so that the state can then give us the money so we can pay it out to our certified teachers. That is the only change currently right now at this time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. O'Brien? I have one. Are we going to then also approve a new amended budget in December? Will there be 2 this time, or is this the only one?
Madam President, at this time, the usual letter that we get from ADE that would indicate by statute if we have to do that, we have not received yet. I believe that we will, only because if you remember from the adopted, the cut in district additional assistance capital is only an estimate, and once it becomes known, hopefully very soon here, then unfortunately I'm not exact on guessing amounts, so it'll probably be a little bit off. So we will have to come back to you most likely for that change, yes.
If we refuse to accept the amount they cut our DAA, would that just, we just refuse to accept that. We want the old budget. We want all the money they promised.
Exactly.
All right. So do I have a motion then to approve? No, I need a,
No,
I don't vote here?
no. This will be part of the consent agenda.
This is just the hearing.
This is the
I told you I was going to need some help on this part. Okay, so this is just the hearing. Was there anyone who wished to comment on this budget revision that allows us to pay the 1.06 to certified teachers who qualify for that fabulous, huge raise from the governor? No requests? All right. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Do I have a motion to go back into our regular session?
Madam President, I make a motion to go back to our regular session.
Right. Thank you, Mrs. Sears. We'll go back to our regular meeting. And now you get to watch a video. This is the part you've all been waiting for.
Welcome to the Mesa Public Schools Governing Board meeting. We appreciate your interest in the district. The 5 elected governing board members volunteer countless hours and serve without compensation. The president and the clerk of the board are elected in January. Under state law, the governing board may only discuss and vote on matters that are on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Agendas are posted a minimum of 24 hours in advance on the Mesa Public Schools website and in the Curriculum Services Center. Copies of tonight's agenda are located in the lobby. Members of the public may speak to the agenda items. If you wish to comment on any agenda item, please fill out a request to address the board form. These forms are also located in the lobby. Before the item is discussed, please submit the completed form to the assistant to the governing board. Members of the public will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. Once recognized by the governing board president, please state your name. We ask that all speakers show respect and courtesy to others. During the second regular meeting of each month, the agenda will include a call to the public, which is an opportunity to speak to the governing board about a school district matter that's not on the agenda. Please submit a request to address the board form to participate in the call to the public. If you want the governing board to consider adding an item to a future agenda, you may submit your request in writing to the board at least 5 working days before that meeting. The superintendent or the governing board president will consider your request. Thank you for your attendance and involvement in tonight's meeting.
It was as riveting as we promised, right? You learned all of our good rules. There are a few chairs if you're standing in the back because you want to stand, please do. But if you would rather sit, there's 6 or 7 chairs up front, and we won't judge you for coming up front. We are on item 7 of our agenda, which is the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held September 26th?
Just wanted to note that I will abstain from voting on both of these two as I was not present in those meetings.
We are glad you're back. All right, do I have a motion for the first one?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from September 26th, 2017.
All those in favor? Aye. And a motion for the second meeting.
I'll move that we approve the minutes for the meeting held on October 3rd, 2017.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, brings us to item 8, which is Dr. Holmes. Tell us about item 8.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the board, we are requesting your approval this evening of the certificated and classified personnel requests, including the addendum.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve those requests?
I move that we approve the personnel requests, both certificated and classified.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dr. Holmes, I'm still impressed that there's more people to hire. Feels like, we should be closed for hiring, but we always need more people. So if you're looking for a job, go on the website. See if you can get one. All right. Item 9 is our consent agenda. All items listed will be considered as a group and will be approved with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion on these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. But I don't know of any requests to remove anything. All right, so do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I make a motion that the consent agenda items be approved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys, are you impressed? Look out, we're on item 11. That was painful. That was painless, right? We went fast. Dr. Cowan, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's governing board meeting. It's been several weeks since we had the pleasure of convening our meetings. During this time, schools returned from October break, and students and staff are busy at teaching and learning. As educators, we inspire and motivate students so that they may develop into lifelong learners. Our quest for knowledge is inherent in who we are. Teaching is a never-ending learning process facilitated by quality relationships and mutual supports between teachers and administrators. Our governing board members are no exception. They ensure that they provide Mesa Public Schools with policies to support student success by participating in continuing education programs. They are regular attendees at conferences and trainings offered by the Arizona School Boards Association. Recently, Board President Jenny Richardson received her certificate of boardsmanship from ASBA for completing 48 hours of professional development. Thank you, board members, and congratulations, Mrs. Richardson. Congratulations.
Next time I want to approve the pictures that you use of me next time. None of those are okay.
You can never make board members always happy. On September 28th, Franklin at Brimhall Elementary School was named a 2017 National Blue Ribbon School for overall excellence by the United States Department of Education. Franklin at Brimhall is one of the 5 Arizona schools selected to receive this prestigious award. Principal Jeff Abrams and 6th grade teacher Patty Carr will accept the award at a November conference and celebration in Washington, D.C. We look forward to celebrating with the Franklin at Brimhall team at a later board meeting to recognize their dedication and commitment to education. Lupe Coda, 1st grade teacher at Stevenson Elementary School, is one of 4 outstanding Arizona Latino educators named 2017 Esperanza Latino Teachers of the Year by Chicanos por la Causa. The Esperanza Latino Teacher Award recognizes educators for their impact on future generations. Lupe was honored for her contributions to education at an awards ceremony last week. She received a $5,000 cash award and a $2,000 stipend for Stevenson Elementary School. Lupe says that nothing brings her more joy than devoting her life to serving her students and their educational experiences. Amanda Cherry, Mesa High School CTE Biotech Academy teacher, was one of 3 Arizona educators selected by the Society for Science and the public to attend the 2017 Research Teachers Conference in Washington, D.C. During October break, Amanda joined 200 teachers at the conference in collaboration with Regeneron, a biotechnology company. Attendees discussed increasing student engagement in programs that support, challenge, and reward the brightest minds in the research, science, engineering, and medical fields. A conference highlight for Amanda was presenting material from her master's thesis on the importance of critical reading skills in science research to a large audience of her peers. Amanda brought back new insights on how to help her students be competitive in the research field. Her students work on projects on their own, design, and in competitions sponsored by companies including Intel, Regeneron, and the Arizona Science Center. Thank you, Amanda, for your dedication to our students, ensuring they have the most cutting-edge information to help them succeed. Students at Pomeroy, Sousa, and Chrisman Elementary Schools joined students from around the world to celebrate International Walk and Bike to School Day. The City of Mesa sponsored the event, which raises awareness about walking and bicycle safety while increasing physical activity. Students displayed banners and enjoyed the camaraderie as they safely paraded to school. The fall issue of our national award-winning magazine, Achieve, was just released. This edition features our athletics department, and copies are on their way as we speak to our home mailboxes. They will also be distributed to school campuses and departments. Please contact the Communications and Marketing Department for additional copies, and watch for the electronic version on the district website. Now, Madam President and board members, this concludes my report to the board, and I invite you to join me in front of the dais for this evening's recognitions. And I invite John Young, environmental science teacher for Mesa High School, to come join me up front. John, you get to stand on that little black star right there. That's the official spot, okay? John Young, environmental science teacher at Mesa High School, was named the K-12 Educator of the Year by the North American Association of Environmental Education. Usually, national level awards are presented to individuals at conferences in front of their peers. Last week, John's award arrived unceremoniously by mail. How's that? You see, earlier this month, he should have been networking at the conference, enjoying the venue's sunny beaches and sightseeing the vibrant culture of Puerto Rico. However, the catastrophic damage caused by Hurricane Irma, Jose, and Maria forced the cancellation of the event. So we owe you a trip, right? Yes. Okay. I'm sure John will agree that the impact of these storms is something environmentalists would like to study for decades, and fits nicely with your expertise. Today's children are the environmental stewards of tomorrow. As an environmental science teacher, John empowers students to develop the critical thinking skills needed to address ecological problems such as the hurricane's aftermath and social impact, and create a more sustainable future for all. An example of John's creative footprint can be experienced by visiting the Garden of Bees. He enlisted students to repurpose an acre of campus for the outdoor classroom. Students designed the space, cleared weeds, worked the soil, germinated seeds, and researched and planted indigenous flora. The result of this hard work is a beautiful Sonoran ecosystem. The oasis is enjoyed by students, staff, and community members alike. Just in case you were wondering what the bees stand for, it's an abbreviation for birds, butterflies, bees, beetles, bats, and bunnies. To date, more than 20 species of birds and cottontails have been observed in the garden. John, congratulations for your well-deserved award. Thank you for your dedication to our students. Thank you for your dedication to your field of study and your expertise. And congratulations one more time for making a difference in the world. We're proud of you. Thank you. So John, come, you want to share some remarks real quick? Would you like to share some remarks real quick? A couple. Yeah, please.
I can talk to teenagers all day long, but this setting makes me very nervous. There are thousands of people connected to this ward, including over 4,000 students I've taught over at Mesa High. There were 1,000 cheering Mesa High community members at an Arizona Diamondbacks game in April 2016 as Scott Schmidt and I accepted a $5,000 grant on the field. Over 1,000 students visited or worked in the garden over the last 3 years. You know, I practiced and timed a speech yesterday that called out my name only about half of the people who helped me get to this point. And the clock showed just 15 minutes. So I'm really too uncomfortable, and there are too many people to thank right now. So what I'd rather do is extend an invitation to the board, to the superintendency, and Mesa Public Schools community to visit Mesa High's Garden of the Bees, where I can thank you personally, give you a guided tour, and share some of the stories that I just can't share tonight. Mr. Ben Smith visited last year, and he wrote on Mesa Public Schools social media page that the garden is a must-see. So, see you at the garden. Thank you.
John, come over here. So this was what's sent in the mail, and it's from the North American Association of Environmental Education K-12 Educator of the Year Award, awarded to John Young, 2017. Again, John, congratulations and thank you for all you do. Now to celebrate John, we've got Principal Kirk Thomas. Kirk, raise your hand over there. There's the head jackrabbit over there. Anybody else from Mesa High out here that wants to celebrate with John? A couple of others there. There's one right there. Congratulations again, John, for your accomplishment. Tonight, we celebrate the academic accomplishments of 3 high school students who were named 2018 National Hispanic Scholars. Will these scholars please join me at the podium right here? The National Hispanic Recognition Program, like now, there you go. The National Hispanic Recognition Program is administered by the National Merit Scholarship Program. This scholastic competition recognizes academically outstanding Hispanic and Latino high school students. One of more than 250,000 high school students nationwide who entered the program, only 5,000 students with the highest abilities receive this important academic recognition. When I call your name, step forward, and I don't think it'll be too hard to determine who's who. So, but here, I'll throw you for a loop. Adam Robles, step forward. Aha, see? Adam's not here. Adam's from Mountain View High School, and he was unable to attend because he's busy doing other school functions. Melchizedek Lorenzo. There you go. Congratulations to you. I'll shake your hand. He's from Westwood High School, right? And then Macy Wilbur, also from Westwood High School. Congratulations to you as well. Not to steal your spotlight, but many of us feel that we share in the honor since each of you have been part of Mesa Public Schools since kindergarten, right? So this is the accumulation of a lot of work. Congratulations to Melchizedek and to Macy for your academic achievement. Something tells me that this is just the beginning of a great academic career, and we expect great things from you as you continue in your studies, okay? All right, so come meet the governing board. Let me shake your hand one more time. Meet them right over there. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in recognizing. Yeah. Do we have any family here with these young people? Raise your hand so you can be recognized, or stand up. We've got a proud mom over there, proud family over there. Anyone from Westwood High School who'd like to join in, raise your hands up. We've got Principal Sean Lynch in the back. There's Sean. Thank you, Sean, for being here. Next on our agenda is Spotlight Recognitions. This program gives our community a more comprehensive look at our schools, programs, and departments, and allows us to recognize some incredible individuals. This evening's Spotlight Recognitions include Keno Junior High School, Dobson High School, and Community Education Department. Will Tamara Addis, the proud principal of Dobson High School, please join me at the podium while we watch a brief video about this outstanding school.
We believe in success for each student. We embrace responsibility, respect, and leaving a legacy. What's truly great about Dobson are the people. We have a theme of Head, Heart, Horseshoe, which stands for responsibility for learning, respect for one another, and leaving a legacy. With these founding words and theme, we base everything we do at Dobson. Dobson High School is a blended learning campus where every student has a personal laptop device. This is a great way for teachers to engage their students and prepare them for the 21st century. In addition, we have a robust AVID program as well as visual and performing arts and many athletics and activities. Dobson High School has been a school of excellence in civic engagement for the past 4 years.
Democrats usually support it, and the Republicans don't.
Our teachers care. They truly care about our students.
So how do we calculate the Z-score for 12.9?
We think outside the box.
And our students recognize that. It's important for our students to have that kind of care and community in a school. What makes Dobson special are the people. We have an amazing community that represents the diversity of the world, and the people here get along, and that's the reason we're here, is about the people.
Principal Addis, would you introduce us to your stars?
Thank you, Dr. Cowan and members of the board. Dobson High School's uniqueness is in its people who make up our school culture. Our richly diverse community embodies compassion for one another. We truly have the most amazing students and staff. I'm so honored to recognize the following individuals this evening. Michael Botchway, Sr., please join me at the podium. Along with being a top scholar and role model, Michael is kind, compassionate, and always willing to help. As senior class president, he's coordinated a blood drive, Red Cross collection for hurricane victims, and a service project at a local wildlife rescue. He is grateful for the opportunities he's been given in life and is dedicated to giving back to others. I am honored to recognize you, Michael, as our outstanding student. Congratulations. Rebecca Martin, English teacher, please join me at the podium. Rebecca is an inventive and engaging educator who advocates for each and every student. Instrumental in launching our PBIS program, she continues to lead the team. As English department chair, she inspires a sense of teamwork and unity among her colleagues. She embodies Dobson pride through compassion, respect, and leadership. I am honored to recognize you, Rebecca, as our educator who makes a difference. Congratulations. And next, Donna Cook, secretary to the assistant principal. She's currently assisting myself. Also, please step forward. Donna is known as Mama Mustang. She always has a smile on her face and radiates school pride. No matter how busy she is, she takes care of everyone, including our teachers, coaches, parents, students, and administrators. If you're having a rough day, she has a donut or chocolate to make you feel better. I don't know where it comes from, but it's always there. We couldn't survive without her. I'm honored to recognize you, Donna, as our customer service champion. Thank you. So you're going to shake the board's hands, and on the behalf of the students, staff, and families at Dobson High School, I thank you for giving us the opportunity to recognize our community. Thank you.
Let's have one more round of applause for our wonderful Mustangs. If you happen to be a Dobson Mustang by parent, student, or staff, would you please raise your hand and be recognized? We have quite a few right over here. Thank you for being here and celebrating with us. Our next spotlight shines on Keno Junior High School. Will Keiko Dilbeck, principal of Keno Junior High, please join me at the podium while we watch a brief video about your great school.
Hi, my name is Keiko Dilbeck, and I am the very proud principal of Keno Junior High School. Our motto is Make It Happen.
We are an AVID school. We have the highest number of sections for AVID. We have 3 7th grade and 3 8th grade. We're the only junior high school that is considered highly certified. We do PBIS here. We have a flourishing GT program and a top-notch CTE program. I'm exceptionally proud of my teachers. I have some phenomenal staff members here. Something that makes our school really special is sense of community, but also diversity and a sense of the world. We have created a family, a network of learners who are socially, culturally, humanly aware of each other. Through PBIS, AVID, and an entire staff full of amazing teachers, we cannot wait to serve your students here at Keno Junior High School.
Principal Dilbeck, introduce us to a few of the people that make Keno such an incredible place.
So thank you, Dr. Cowan, and governing board members and the superintendency. So Keno Junior High School has a vibrant and diverse community. Our school provides innovative opportunities for educational excellence and personal growth. I am so very proud to recognize the following Keno Colts tonight. Israel Alvarado, 8th grade student, please join me at the podium. So Israel exemplifies our motto, Make It Happen. After struggling in elementary school, he committed to making a change and becoming a leader. Thanks to the help of his awesome dad, his dedicated teachers, elementary and junior high, and Keno support programs, he has succeeded. Israel is an involved citizen, academic leader, and role model. We're excited to see what his future holds. I'm honored to recognize you, Israel, as our outstanding student. And so go ahead and stand. Nancy Parra Quinlan, PQ, science teacher, please join me at the podium. Inside and out of the classroom, Nancy is the definition of an all-around highly effective teacher. She's inspired STEM fever throughout our campus, thanks to her classes and extracurricular activities. A multiple award-winning educator, she understands that strong people make strong teachers, and strong teachers make strong students. I am honored to recognize you, Nancy, as our educator who makes a difference. Okay, Gabriel Escalante, facility assistant, please step forward. Gabe's first priority is making sure students are safe, accountable, and proud of their school. He constantly works to make our 51-year-old historical campus look beautiful. We need a landmark. He's built valuable relationships with our community. At lunch, he talks to students and uses our PBIS focus to encourage them to be respectful and responsible. His effect is profound. I am honored to recognize you, Gabe, as our customer service champion. So, thank you for giving us the opportunity to share just a few of our special people.
Let's have one more round of applause for those Keno Junior High School All-Stars. Do we have any family here to recognize our spotlighted folks from Keno today? Raise your hand. We've got some, in the back, the ones with the cameras. That's it. And do we have any other Keno cults here? Yeah, there's a whole bunch back there. So thank you for being here to support your staff as well. You add so much to that wonderful campus as well. Our last spotlight for the evening shines on our community education department. Todd Wallace, Director of Community Education, please join me at the front. Rock, will you please cue the video so that we can learn about the wonderful things that community education does to support education in Mesa Public Schools?
Community education is very diverse and broad in scope as to how it supports the school district. We have about 18 to 20 staff that are at the community education office, but most of our staff are out in the field, in schools, working with children. We start with 3 and 4-year-olds, and we prepare them for school in Kinder U programs. We support elementary schools by providing before and after school informal learning opportunities. We're the department that provides junior high athletics for students. We provide adult education classes and GED, English language learning. Our rewards are behind the scenes, but we feel anytime there's student success that we have been a part of that. And I'm very proud and feel very privileged to work for Mesa Public Schools.
That's a good one too. Todd. That's good. Todd, introduce us to a few of them, and then we'll get all of them to get recognized as well real quick. Okay? There you go.
Thank you, Dr. Cowan. Madam President, members of the board, and superintendency. Community education delivers high-quality, year-round programming that engages minds, enriches lives, and ensures opportunities for all. Tonight, I'd like to honor 2 wonderful members of our team. Lupe Ramirez, Facility Assistant, please join me at the podium. Mesa Education Center is a busy site that houses preschool, junior high, high school, and adult learners. Lupe takes great pride in her role as our campus keeper. Her door handles shine, her water fountains sparkle, and gum has no place on her sidewalks. All day long, she's responsive to calls for help with her signature reply, "I'll be right there." Will you say it? Yeah. She's also created a sense of ownership among staff and students who often assist with campus chores. Even the county health inspector was raving about her meticulous work ethic. I am honored to recognize you, Lupe, as our employee who makes a difference. Lisa DeSante, would you please join me at the podium? Lisa has been a game changer. Lisa's title is Community Education Coordinator, and that is very fitting. She is the maestro delivering excellence and just the exact formula for each customer and task. She's a mentor, a natural leader, and thoughtful and knowledgeable sounding board for colleagues. Lisa is quick to provide accurate and detailed information to other departments who also trust and respect her work. She's recognized throughout the district for her skills, reliability, and engaging personality. I'm honored to recognize you, Lisa, as our customer service champion. Thank you for taking the time to learn about our department and the excellence we offer to our schools and to this community.
Let's have one more round of applause for Todd and her team at Community Education. I'd like to thank our master educators and our top-notch employees. Your individual and collective efforts engage and inspire our young learners every day. You give children the tools to be successful in life, which is evident in our outstanding students represented this evening and during our presentations, and we celebrate each one of you. Our Spotlight recipients receive a certificate of appreciation and an Amazon gift card for personal use from the Mesa Public Schools Foundation. And in addition, our outstanding students are recognized with an official portrait to be displayed in our governing boardroom. You can see, like these students over here, at their schools as well, in a place of honor in their homes. Now, I said I'd recognize the other community ed people, right? So, are there like one or two other community ed folks around here? Yeah, there they all are. There they all are. Outstanding people who do outstanding stuff for our students. Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw tonight is just a representation of the outstanding characteristics and qualities of the people who give their lives to the children of Mesa. And their work is valued and important and appreciated. So thank you, those of you who were recognized. Thank you to those who weren't recognized as well, because your work is honorable and valued as well. Thank you again and congratulations. Madam President, that concludes our presentations this evening. You're excused to your second period class. You can go home if you want to, or you can stay.
Respect for one another, and leaving a legacy. With these founding words and theme, we base everything we do at Dobson. Dobson High School is a blended learning campus where every student has a personal laptop device. This is a great way for teachers to engage their students and prepare them for the 21st century. In addition, we have a robust AVID program, as well as visual and performing arts, and many athletics and activities. Dobson High School has been a school of excellence in civic engagement for the past 4 years.
Democrats usually support it, and the Republicans don't.
Our teachers care. They truly care about our students.
So how do we calculate the Z-score for 12.9?
And our students recognize that. It's important for our students to have that kind of care and community in a school. What makes Dobson special are the people. We have an amazing community that represents the diversity of the world, and the people here get along, and that's the reason we're here, is about the people.
Hi, my name is Keiko Dilbeck, and I am the very proud principal of Keno Junior High School. Our motto is Make It Happen.
What's that?
We are an AVID school. We have the highest number of sections for AVID. We have 3 7th grade and 3 8th grade. We're the only junior high school that is considered highly certified. We do PBIS here. We have a flourishing GT program and a top-notch CTE program. I'm exceptionally proud of my teachers. I have some phenomenal staff members here. Something that makes our school really special is sense of community, but also diversity and a sense of the world. We have created a family, a network of learners who are socially, culturally, humanly aware of each other. Through PBIS, AVID, and an entire staff full of amazing teachers, we cannot wait to serve your students here at Keno Junior High School.
That means that they just get a chance to take a look at it, ask any questions about it, and then we bring it back on the 14th of November.
Community education is very diverse and broad in scope as to how it supports the school district. We have about 18 to 20 staff that are at the community education office, but most of our staff are out in the field, in schools, working with children. We start with 3 and 4-year-olds, and we prepare them for school in Kinder U programs. We support elementary schools by providing before and after school informal learning opportunities. We're the department that provides junior high athletics.
All right, you guys can keep celebrating, but we're going to start our meeting, and you're going to get shut in here for a long meeting. You're not going to want to. You're going to wish you got out while the getting was good. That's not to disparage the presentation from Longfellow. I mean, it's good. We should stay for that. We failed to recognize Senator Sean Bowie. Senator Bowie, thank you for coming again. I told him we were going to call it a David Bowie chair for him and make him sing next to him. It's my last rock and roll joke for the night. And it brings us to item 11, which is a presentation on social and emotional learning at Longfellow. Dr. Cowan?
Madam President, members of the board, as you know, one of our priorities, one of our 3 key priorities is ensuring that we are helping our children develop the social and emotional intelligence and abilities that they need, not only to thrive in our schools and our classrooms, but in their homes, in their neighborhoods, and anticipating that that then transfers over to those skills necessary to help them be competent and engaged members of whatever workforce, college, university experience they go on to next. And you will hear today from outstanding people who have embraced that concept and are making some wonderful things happen for the students at Longfellow Elementary School. So with that, we will turn the time over to, are you our first speaker? Or the speaker? The speaker. Come on up and introduce your team and make sure everybody knows who everybody is.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for having me. Good evening, President Richardson, members of the board, Dr. Cowan, and members of superintendency. Before I begin, I would like to introduce Kathy Thompson. She's our special ed department chair at Longfellow. Jessica Gilbert, she's our psychologist, and Holly Allred, she's a member of our special ed staff. And so they have been instrumental in making this change happen at Longfellow, so they were very excited to come and support today. So thanks for being here. Okay, so, well, my name is Monica Mesa. I'm the principal at Longfellow Elementary, and I just want to thank you for allowing me this bit of brief time to share with you some of the highlights of what our staff has done over the last couple of years to target social emotional learning on our campus. So, well, a couple of years ago, we noticed that the behaviors that we were seeing in the office were pretty high. And we started to ask some questions about why that was. And so we basically came to the conclusion that the behaviors were stemming from some specific things that we started to see a pattern of. So some of those things were trauma in their home environments related to either foster care. Some of our students have been in and out of foster care. Maybe sexual abuse or molestation or physical violence in the home, either received by the student or observed by our students. Some of our students are homeless, and they suffer from poverty and the effects of poverty. So when you don't have your basic needs met, those are the the things that we need to meet first. In addition, well, that all kind of encompassed their physical, emotional, and their academic needs were unmet. We saw that some of them lacked social skills, so they might not know how to respond to one another, maybe in a conflict situation, or how to build relationships. And some of the behaviors that we saw were attention seeking, or they were avoidance behaviors, and some caused by anxiety and maybe panic related to things that they might have be going through at home. So in order to figure out, okay, how do we deal with this? Because we recognized that some of the things that students were facing was actually preventing them from accessing content. So we started to ask a lot of questions. Were our students being successful? Were they growing, or were they losing ground over time? What was causing the behavior? Was it actually something that happened on campus, or was it something that they were dealing with at home? Were we providing supports that the students needed? Were the behaviors caused by something, or were they choices? Because some of our students were making choices to get out of academics. And then did some students need to be evaluated for additional support that we might not have recognized before? So once we asked all those questions, we got lots of data, and we had lots of answers about specific students who might have been struggling the most. And what we ended up doing was we created a 3-tier intervention system of supports. So we targeted academics, we targeted behavior, and we targeted instruction. So basically what we did is we said in academics, everybody needs to access core instruction. So we wanted to make sure that all our students had ready access, no matter what their need was, right, or their level, to core instruction, because that was what they were going to see on the AZ Merit. That's what they were going to be held accountable to. But then those students that needed additional support would get small group instruction at a different time, and then if they needed more support than that, then they would get even smaller or additional targeted instruction in that 3-tier system of academics. We also recognize that students who might have some behavior challenges would need that level of support in a behavior tiered model for behavior. So we implemented positive behavior intervention supports, PBIS, on our campus, and we started to positively recognize students who were exhibiting the expectations that we wanted from them, and then tiering out those students who might need either reteaching or a positive behavior chart, that one-on-one time where somebody was actually either teaching them new behaviors and extinguishing old ones, or giving them the support that they needed. And a lot of that was related to the trauma that was coming out of their experiences. And then the last was instruction. We had to take a hard look at what we were doing in the classroom and whether that was effective or not. So we created a tiered system in instruction as well, where all teachers were provided with professional development on backward design and planning. We focused on domain 1, and we created that system for everybody, and then we also tiered out support for teachers who might have needed additional support, and making that process effective and successful for them. So I think the biggest change was, in order for us to affect the students and what they were able to access on campus, we needed to change our behaviors. And so really what ended up happening was a philosophy or a mindset change for all of the staff on campus. And PBIS was a big one, because that targets the adult behaviors, and what we actually are focusing on for students. Instead of saying, sit down, don't do that, we were thanking kids. Thank you for doing what I'm asking you to do, or thank you for responding to that. Thank you for turning in your homework, and changing our verbiage about what we expected kids to do in class. And that made a difference on what students were actually giving us, and we weren't focusing on the negative comments. We trained our staff on trauma-sensitive or trauma-informed schools. We taught them what trauma looked like, and we actually gave them the ACEs survey on adverse childhood effects, so they would understand why some of our students were exhibiting certain behaviors. And that was, I think, what made the biggest change, because when we could understand what the adverse childhood effects were, and how some of those traumatic things we've also experienced, and how we react to some of the traumatic things in our life, when a child is doing that, they may not have the coping skills that we have. So that was, I think, the game changer for us, because then teachers recognized what they needed to do to help students cope instead of getting in trouble for their behaviors. So that then broadened our focus from our planning to building relationships with students. So this whole year has been about really finding out what your students, who your students are, what's happening with them and to them, and being that advocate for them and that person that they can come to on campus. We hired staff that had the same mindset, so that they just come right in and they are automatically building those relationships and those environments for kids to be successful. We incorporated a second step curriculum, which targets social emotional learning for our students. So now we're teaching them how to be empathetic. We're teaching them how to recognize what bullying looks like and how to respond to that. And then we also implemented playworks during recess. So we are teaching students how to learn how to play together, how to build relationships with students outside, and that's been extremely successful for us. In addition, we focused on meeting the neediest kids first. So that means for us that we have targeted our tiered instruction, and so we refer to our support system for instruction, and we make sure that those students are flowing through those tiered supports and getting what they need. We've incorporated pull-out as well as inclusion to meet the needs of our students who are receiving special ed services, so it's really individualized and it depends on what the students need. This year we've incorporated mindfulness training for our staff and our students. So we have some trainers on our campus who are some teachers on our campus that are trained in mindfulness, and they've actually taught us how to breathe, how to focus, how to really set our mind and be in the moment. And so we've taught our students how to do that. And every morning we start with a 1-minute mindfulness moment right before announcements, and that really has set the tone for the entire school. And it's also allowed us to teach the teachers how to administer mindfulness in their rooms, and has taught the students how to have a coping skill. So it's a lifelong skill, right? So if something's happening in their homes, then they can always refer to that skill so that they can calm themselves and be in a better place to deal with what they're dealing with. We've also taken to creating class lists based on our neediest students first. So if we have students who are receiving special services or students who we know have maybe behaviors that are related to trauma who may not be under the special ed umbrella, we meet with the special ed team. We have a PLC day probably in late spring, and we create those students on class lists first. So we take their needs into consideration as far as classroom environments, teachers, the rest of the students who are built around them, and where we might provide aid support, and then we create the rest of the class lists around the students. So that's been really successful for our students, especially because our special ed team now knows where they need to target supports, and on the first day we can start to provide supports in a proactive way instead of a reactive way. And then the last thing is we've opened up a comm room. And that's also been really positive change for us. We were trying to meet student needs in isolation, so one teacher might have been trying to do it one way, and then our speech teacher was trying to do something, and everyone had a handle on different students, so we've created a space now where students come on. We create schedules for our neediest students who might need sensory input breaks, who might need an ADHD refocus time, who might need to just come in at the beginning of the day on Monday because we know the weekends for that student might be really hard. They connect with somebody in the morning, get some calm time, maybe some mindfulness, and they go back to the class so that they can have a calm day and focus on their academics instead of maybe what happened over the weekend. I'm sorry, I've been talking and haven't really. Those are pictures of our comm room. And so I have to tell you that the greatest thing about the comm room is that students are ready to learn. There are specifically what comes to my head is our group of sixth grade students. Yeah, that would be me. Thanks. Who now in the morning receives about 10 minutes of mindfulness, and now we are not seeing them anxious during their math content. They're able to access more of their content. They're not having behaviors that we used to see, and so it really is beneficial for our students. It's minimized the behaviors of our autistic students who might have frustrated with maybe some of the things that are happening in the classroom or just some anxiety. So it really has been a positive contribution on our campus. And so what's happened is our whole campus is calmer. Our discipline referrals are down significantly, and our students and teachers are happier. I had someone tell me, in fact, it was Kathy last week, she said, I love my job. I love coming to work. I think the change in that is that adults feel supported. We're thinking differently about kids and their behaviors, and instead of trying to find some way to consequence or punish kids, we're finding some way to support them and help them through what they might be dealing with. Students are learning social and emotional skills for a lifetime. And so they're treating each other different. They're reporting things that maybe they didn't report before. They're taking care of their school, and that's just organically come out of the changes that we've made. Relationships are being developed student to student, student to teacher, and teacher to teacher. Teachers are doing things together. They're sharing time together. And I think the biggest thing for me is I see classified staff building relationships with students, which really wasn't happening before. There's a sense that we're in this together, that what we're doing is really finding ways to help kids be successful that's a little outside of the box, but that it's okay to find a different way to service our students because what we were doing before really wasn't working. Our teachers are practicing their mindfulness and their breathing, and that self-care has actually really helped them too, because sometimes the days are stressful. We've built leadership capacity among teachers, classified, and students. Part of our PlayWorks is a youth leadership training. Our teachers have become experts in different content areas, so they're teaching each other, and students are leading each other, so that's very nice to see. And our systems are designed to be proactive instead of reactive for students. So instead of waiting for something to happen and then create something around that, or maybe a consequence, we're actually trying to make sure that it doesn't happen by providing the supports that the students need to meet, whatever need that they have. So in classroom, students are more engaged. I haven't had very many students in the office, and that's good because where I wanted them was in the classroom. So thank you. Any questions?
Madam President, members of the board, if I may just for a moment. Monica Mesa, who is the principal that you're hearing from, is at Longfellow Elementary School. That school serves a community that struggles with socioeconomic status factors in their lives. It's a significant part of the lives of the families and the children that come to the school. In many instances, they come deficit the level of quality skills we would expect in understanding how to cope with the challenges of life, how to address problem solving, how to advocate for themselves, how to work through conflict successfully, how to just feel and accept the love and focus by adults. And what Monica and her team have done is using social emotional learning as a foundation, they have come to quickly recognize and value that if they don't meet the social emotional needs of their kids, they're going to have a really, really, really hard time helping those kids develop the academic skills necessary. So not at the expense of academics, but parallel to academics, they have designed all these wonderful strategies in there so that children have a greater sense of belonging and comfort and peace associated with their schooling experiences that hopefully transmits into the rest of their lives, that will be beneficial for them not just in their academic progress, but for their survival and thriving abilities throughout their lives. And so, Monica, we really, really appreciate what you're doing and your team, these 3 outstanding educators right here and the teams that are back at home right now, probably grading stacks of paper and worrying about their kids. Are very, very committed educators, both to the education and to the social emotional welfare of each child on that campus. Thank you so very much.
Are there any questions?
Did any board members have any comments or questions?
I have so many questions that I'm going to save a lot of them and come out and visit with you.
Okay, I would love that.
Because one of the things, the first thing that came to mind is, how did you create this program, this 3-tiered approach, which is wonderful, especially for the population you're serving? Was it a collaboration from a multiple of resources? Was it a program that you had looked at somewhere else and tried to duplicate? How did you come up with this plan?
So we accessed the research on pyramid response to interventions, which is a research-based strategy to assist students in with something that we've been using in academics for quite some time. So it's a system. And so if it was working for academics where you tier out students who need additional support and you find a way to give them the support they need so they can access academics at their grade level, then we just applied that same system to behavior and that same system to instruction. Because our teachers, I mean, when we talk about the instruction piece, they may need support too. They may not know a strategy, they may not know the content because they're in the new grade level, so they need that support too. So I can't just say, teach this and not give them the support that they need. So I kind of observe the teachers and make sure that they are at that level of effectiveness, and then if they aren't, then I provide them with the support that they need to be successful. And so we just applied that across the board.
How long did it take you to have this mindset change with your entire staff? How many months? How many years? Because that is a process.
So this is my 3rd year at Longfellow, so it took 2 years. Because with the application of PlayWorks and the Calm Room and the social emotional learning, bringing staff on board that had the same mindset, I think that the last bit of change pretty much happened at the beginning of this year when we really taught them about what trauma looks like for kids.
Were you able to get buy-in from the community, or are they that involved? The parents in your community, do they get involved at all?
They're becoming more involved because we focused so much on trying to identify. This year for me was one of the priorities was bringing community and partnering more with our community. So that's what we're doing right now. We're educating our partners on what it looks like for kids and how to build those partnerships with the community so that our parents have access to more resources. So we're doing that right now.
Impressive. I do have more, but I don't want to steal the thunder of everyone else here, so I would love to come and visit and spend some time with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the hard work that you and your staff are doing. I'm so encouraged to hear that this is happening in our district and because it's so needed. I want to know, has there been study, because you know there was the ACEs scores, is there an average score where most of the students in the school are? I know there can be a range.
We haven't given the ACEs survey to our students, and so we just know what ACEs are out there, and I'd have to say that the majority of our students have at least 3 or more. Yeah.
Well,
so if it's
be
on a scale from
encouraged,
1 to 10.
continue doing the hard work that you're doing, and I'm really glad to hear that there's self-care for the staff involved in everything they do to continue this work. So I'm very proud, very happy. Thanks for being with us tonight, and the rest of the staff, thank them too as well from the board for all the hard work that you're doing that's so necessary in these days. And I look forward to the outcomes and the positive outcomes due to your mindfulness to be a leader of this type of work.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'm going to chime in if that's okay. I was struggling to find a question in my statement. I guess I've got a neighbor who's, and your timing is great. I've got a neighbor that I met with whose daughter goes to Lindbergh, which I guess is within about half a mile. I actually mapped it of where you're at, and she's going through an adoption process. She's been her whole life. She's 8 years old. She's had something like 32 homes. She struggles with a lot of what you're working with, and one of the concerns that my neighbor had when he approached me was that Lindbergh, at least in his mind, didn't have a program set up like this. So he's concerned that to keep her where she needs to be and to get her where she needs to be academically and stabilized. He's adopting her, so this is now her forever home. That he's going to have to move her to a different school, and he knows she's got friends, and he doesn't like. She's moved so many times already, and what's the plan to? Is there a plan to expand this and kind of offer some similar services so that he doesn't have to uproot her and put her where the services are? The services could come to her.
We, as you know,
Stability.
Mr. Smith, we're just exploring this aspect for Mesa Public Schools. Monica and her team are probably further along than many of the other schools as far as a tangible, concrete plan of how to support and help these kids. I would dare say, though, that before your neighbor considers moving from school to school, invite him in to go visit with the principal and to share what the needs of his soon-to-be daughter are going to be, and then the principal would have an opportunity of sharing the programs. There are bits and pieces of what she has shared across our system, and with the encouragement by a concerned father, a thoughtful principal like there is at Lindbergh would be thinking of and designing strategies to help that young lady be successful as well. But what we've done this last year, as you know, is we are empowering staffs and principals to really thoughtfully adjust and perfect a system that responds to the students and the community that school serves. And Monica is in the lead on that, knowing very well what her students need, and she has gotten the cooperation and support of master educators like those we have here today and across her campus to help support that. Other principals are engaged in that same kind of conversation, that same work with their staffs, but as I mentioned, it's at different levels across the system right now.
Okay, cool, thanks. And thank you for what you're doing.
Board Member Smith asked my question.
Monica, so about a year ago, I think we sat through a presentation at a school board training on adverse childhood experiences and how they affect not only the physical health but the educational abilities of these kids as they come. And I remember thinking, this is our school district. This is what our kids are coming to school having experienced, and we need to be better equipped to meet those needs. And as funding is cut on a state and federal level that helps support families in crisis in other places, the schools really do become the neighborhood community center for these kind of resources. And so teaching your families and your students how to be mindful, how to switch will really change your community, not just your students at your school, because of the work you're doing. And I think it's so important, and I'm so proud of you. And you're trailblazers, and it's really, I know as I've talked to other principals who are facing similar trials, they say these same words as calm room, mindfulness training. You know, they are following your lead, and I appreciate you being that kind of resource for them, because you're not the only school, you're not the only place that's struggling with these kinds of things. It's across the district, and while it may be more prevalent in some socioeconomic corners of our district, no child, no population is without children with these high ACE scores. And so it's important for all of us to consider. So thank you very much. We appreciate it, and thank your team. Jennifer, are you at more than one school?
Jessica.
In a perfect world, we would, and maybe in our imperfect world, we are going to need more school psychologists, more, so that you can serve one community full-time. I think that's going to become an important issue we deal with as we move forward, that we need to fund more of you so that every school has access to this kind of help. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any of you who don't know what an ACE score is, you can look up. It's a scale. I think the scale goes from 0 to 10. Some of you may have a score of 0. You've never experienced any of these things, but the higher your score goes, the more likely you are to experience physical trauma, emotional things later in your life. It really plays a big factor. So look it up. learn a little about it. It's fascinating. A bond presentation, item 14.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Scott Thompson, our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Support Services, will share a brief legal required bond expenditures update for you at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. That was a real setup. Madam President, members of the governing board, I'm excited to present this information this evening. I'm a little disappointed I lost my crowd here, but we're going to go we're going to go through the legal requirement first. Just even if this wasn't a legal requirement, I think this is just something that every board, every school district that has bonds should do, because we want to be accountable to our community. We want to always update on where we are and on the wonderful support they've given us through an election and voting for these bonds. So basically the first slide is just a summary of the bond series. As we talk about, while $230 million was approved, it doesn't get all sold overnight, and we don't use it all up in 1 year. So we've had several of these series of sales. This is the fifth, and so we are showing here basically a summary of every year how much that total is and what's the remaining balance. As you can see, the majority of the remaining balance is in the area of repair, renovation, replace, demolish existing school facilities, and technology. Just to highlight that issue, because we are required to just go over the actual current expenditures for the year, which is a bit repetitive to what I just showed you, but just highlighting that this is what we spent in fiscal year 16-17. So $20 million on the repairs, a little over $3 million on technology, and, well, technically $4 million. These two were separated. As you know, the technology equipment is mostly focused on your one-to-one initiative at the high schools, and the upgrade of technology was mostly focused on the infrastructure upgrades to support that. So they really go hand in hand. So about $24 million was spent in the last fiscal year. We basically have about $58 million left in capacity to be expended. I will tell you some of that's already been expended as we are finishing up the summer programs that we were working on in July and August, as you can imagine. And so there's a lot of work in progress as we speak, and the final projects will be focused again on the renovation and repair of our schools and the final phases of the technology implementations that were supported by this bond election. So that's $58 million. We only have about $29 million left to sell of the total 230, and that'll be done in the spring of 2018. We'll be bringing that before you. And as I've already mentioned, we will be focusing the final phases of this on building renovation projects and technology. With that, I want to first thank our Director of Communications and Technology, Helen Hollins, and her staff, because while I am learning, I am a little slow. So I came to her with a brilliant idea and not a lot of time to put together a short video to really highlight to all of us the great work that the community has supported through these bonds. So I'm going to ask Rock to rock in that video right up.
In November 2012, the Mesa Public Schools community approved a $230 million bond package for district improvements. Funds were allocated towards school building repairs and renovations, technology and the infrastructure needed to support its use, new buildings at Dobson and Westwood High Schools, and propane buses and upgraded facilities for the transportation department.
Grill feels very fortunate to have a redo of our kitchen area.
I'm so grateful for the new kitchen. This new kitchen has made things easier for the students.
The external benefit is our students no longer have to come into the kitchen or cafeteria area to get their food, but the service line is outside along the wall, which then expedited the time that students were getting their food, which actually gave them more time to eat and less time in line. Overall, we're very fortunate and thankful for the board for providing this opportunity to have this remodel for our school.
I was very privileged as a new principal at Dobson 4 years ago to embark on a bond project to build a new building to improve our facilities as well as safety of the campus. We were able to design a state-of-the-art building that houses 32 classrooms and a very safe and secure campus. In addition to an inviting front office and flow, it funnels all of our traffic through a very safe environment where we have enhanced safety glass as well as buzz doors, again to create a safer campus so that learning is a priority at Dobson.
We're very fortunate that Mesa Public Schools has built 3 new buildings. 2 transportation buildings, one at Stapley, one at Fremont, and also a new vehicle maintenance building. Propane is the fastest growing alternative fuel in the school bus industry. Propane has a lower carbon content compared to gasoline or diesel, so we help to protect our environment by cutting down on harmful greenhouse gas emissions. Mesa Public Schools has 105 propane buses, all of which have air conditioning. As a clean burning fuel, propane autogas results in less wear and tear on the engine and components, further decreasing maintenance costs. Fuel cost for diesel is currently at $1.87 per gallon. Propane is at 97 cents.
Here at Skyline, we're especially grateful to the voters of Mesa for the 2012 bond that provided us with the laptops, as well as some campus enhancements in our media center.
Having the computers is really great because we can talk to our teachers whenever we need to, email other students, use Excel, Microsoft Word. That's awesome, and I love it so much.
And so it's really elevated the readiness of our students as they go on to college and career.
Thanks to the Mesa Public Schools community, the district is able to provide students and staff with high-quality learning environments that lead to academic success.
I think that's a lot better than a lot of figures on a spreadsheet. So, any questions that you have about the bond expenditures to date?
I think my favorite number is that we have $6 left in the purchase pupil transportation vehicles.
Yes,
we
we're
cannot even buy a scooter. But
we
are out of money.
We just saw we can get 6 gallons of propane with that. So, okay.
7 cents.
That's my favorite. I was excited to see that we approved today in the consent agenda for Skyline, Mr. Brennan, before you go out, continued update for Skyline this coming. Did you see that was approved for you today? It was good.
It's your paint job.
You're getting a facelift this summer, $747,000 worth. Yeah,
and more to come.
Yeah, that's great. We're excited for you. Thank you for coming. All right, I think that's. Do you have more? Are there other questions about the bond?
Unless there's any other questions, no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Sorry to call you on your way out. A first hearing on 3 different policies. Is that Dr. Lesser?
Actually, Madam President, members of the board, it's 2 other members of the superintendency. The first item, policy GCI, professional staff assignments and transfers, will be presented by Dr. Sean Holmes. And then the following 2 policies, KF, community education program, and KG, community use of school facilities, will be presented by Dr. Andy Forlis. And again, this is our first read, so we're not asking for approval, but this is an opportunity for you to give your first review of these proposals.
But I think it's worth mentioning that Dr. Lesser would have done a fine job presenting these.
He oversees, along with Mr. Pickerel, all of the coordination of our policies, and we appreciate Dr. Lesser.
If they do a good job, it's a result of me coaching them. Oh, Madam President, members of the board. Policy GCI, professional staff assignments and transfers. Just a little bit of background. As we've shared with you in the past, we had worked with our through the certificated meet and confer process, agreed to some changes in the transfer process.
And when we do something like that, we review language in various areas that may be impacted, and this was a policy that we had taken a look at. While the changes that we're recommending this evening aren't directly tied to that work, in reviewing this policy, we did believe that the recommendations before you were something that we should do. So what we're simply recommending is that we're more clearly defining in the policy that you are authorizing the superintendent to make transfers, and that there are two types of transfers. You will see that we're striking language related to the two types of transfers, as we believe that it more appropriately belongs in the regulation. And I will share with you that we are looking to revise the regulation, and I will be sure to get you a copy of that recommendation of the regulation in the near future.
Thank you very much. And the next two policies, Dr. Forlis.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. We are bringing to you revisions to policy KG. The last time that this was revised was in 1995, and much has changed in the world of community use of our public facilities. So what you will see is that this policy is more tightly aligned to state law and has condensed 5 categories of user groups down to 3. Those 3 user groups are school-related organizations, youth organizations, and then a category for other users. As our needs have expanded, we have really had taken some time to review the policy. So you'll see many items struck through on the first 2 pages, and then the rewrite is on the back. It is our intent that at the second hearing that we will bring a fee schedule that is aligned to this new policy revision.
Wonderful. And how about policy KF?
And policy KF is a new policy which establishes the ability for Mesa Public Schools to have a community education program. And so you saw this evening that we do an amazing job under the leadership of Todd Wallace, who provides so many services to our community in many aspects. And this policy formalizes that agreement, the legal foundation for community education in Mesa Public Schools.
Well, we're glad we'll finally be legal, Todd, that you'll, we're glad you'll have a legal standing in the district now. All right, thank you for those things. Are there any questions about any of those policies during this first hearing from any of the board members? All right, let's move on to the call to the public. Do we have people here to address? No one? Then given that, we won't even roll the video. Sorry, you guys can check it out later. Brings us to item 17, a motion for adjournment.
Madam President, I move to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You guys want to vote too? Aye, loud? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Record me. Well done. Yeah, well done, guys.